make SI successful in your course? In what ways do you support the leader or promote session attendance? More importantly, why do you do it?
Okay, on the first day, I encourage attendance at the SI sessions by telling my students that students who attend SI normally tend to make a letter grade higher than students that do not attend SI. That catches their attention, and it's kind of like, whoa, I can do better in this course by attending the SI sessions. The reason I do it is because I know learning with peers is something that will help them learn the concepts a lot better than trying to do it on their own at home.
To make SI successful in my course, I highly encourage my students to attend. I believe in the program, and I do everything I can within the classroom as far as getting the SI leader to write the times, the schedule off to the side of the board. I try to have a sort of a running conversation with the SI during the class, bringing him or her in at appropriate moments. In other words, to give them value, to show the students that I respect that person, and to show the students that the SI leader does have value.
I think SI is great. I mean, it's obviously successful. The students are much more successful if they go to SI, and they're much more prepared for class. And the students begin to see, the other students begin to see, that these students seem to know more than they do, and it's just from going to SI. And the SI also provides them with tools that they're going to take for the rest of their classes.
Describe your working relationship and why the relationship and related communication is important.
We have meetings throughout the semester and after the semester to see what's worked and what hasn't worked. I think it's important so that we can, both the classes and the SI sessions can work together, and so it looks seamless to the students. I think if you practice ahead of time, it looks more natural than if you just say, oh, by the way, I have an SI here and this is what she does.
Communication is the big piece of the puzzle, because if you and your SI are not communicating, it's going to be really obvious very quickly in class, and so then the students are going to sort of take sides. So it's important that you two provide a united front to the students. So, you know, I'm constantly asking, you know, what are you going to do today? How can I support that in class, or give them a preview of what's going to happen? And, you know, she tries to support me as well in class.
We also talk about what the students had difficulty with from the previous lesson. And this helps me to know how to start my next class, so that I can help the students answer questions or understand concepts that they didn't understand during the previous class. It also helps because if a student is too embarrassed to ask a question, it's a much more comfortable environment in the SI session, and they can comfortably ask questions without being embarrassed, and I can direct that to the rest of the class for the next lecture.
What is the SI leader's role in your classroom? How integrated into your class are your leaders? What do you do to keep your leader visible?
I ask them to sit in the back to save the front seats for my students, but I ask them to discover my nuances, to find the ways that I do things. It doesn't mean that my way is right, but for them to start learning my language, my quirkiness, my classroom. I think it's very important that they soak up everything that they can about me and my classroom. I try, like when we're having group work, I will always designate the SI as the other expert. In other words, I'm walking around helping students, but I also pull the SI in, because I think every time the SI can help one of my students, then the students grow in confidence in the SI, and they think, oh wow, I could really benefit from this SI leader, and then hopefully they're going to go attend the sessions.
Giving her the first few minutes at the beginning of every class, and sometimes at the very end of the class, because she can make an announcement at the beginning of the class, and of course students forget when they're ready to go. So I always either reiterate what she said, or I have her come down and reiterate.
I ask my SI to participate fully in the class. I feel comfortable asking him or her questions. I feel comfortable having them ask me questions, because sometimes they can see what the other students don't understand better than I can, and they can ask the question for them. I hold group sessions where the students work problems together, I walk around and help them. I have my SI do the same. That way they become familiar with the SI in the classroom, and they're much more comfortable then in the sessions afterwards.
Does trust play a role in your relationship? How is that trust established? How do you and your students benefit from it?
Trust is a big part because I need to trust the SI and trust that she's doing what she's supposed to be doing and not giving answers on the test and that sort of thing. She needs to trust me that I'm going to support her in the classroom and outside the classroom. And I think that trust just grows over time. The more you work together, that trust is going to be established. But I think also it goes back to the communication piece, because if you're communicating with each other, then you know where each other is.
There has to just be a very good foundation of trust, where the students have to know that I'm doing something in their best interest by having an SI leader in the room. And then they have to know that I'm trusting the SI person so that they will even test the waters to go to the SI session. It's a trusting and a supportive environment, and again, it all goes back to what can we do to help the students be most successful. And the SI supported classes with the SI meetings afterward, when they are fully utilized by the students, they are extremely beneficial, and the students are extremely successful in attending those.
Luckily, both the SIs that I've had here have been students of mine, and they were A students of mine, and they were good students of mine. So I, had trust from the very beginning. Of course, the first semester with each SI, you're working through that to see if you can, trust them and whatnot. Without trust, though, I don't think it would work in the class, and I wouldn't want one.
What do other instructors need to know in order to make SIs successful in their classes?
I think other instructors need to know that you have to work at it. It doesn't just happen. It's not perfect. Nothing's perfect. It has to be nurtured. It has to be worked with. It has to be fed so that it can grow. And that's why the weekly meetings with my SI leader are so important.
I think one of the main things is to pick a former student, a student that you've had a good relationship with during a class, and somebody that you feel that you can communicate easily with and work well with. They don't have to necessarily be your same personality, but because you are going to be working closely together, so it needs to be somebody that you feel like you can easily work with.
I think they need to go to the in-service that you all give at the beginning of the semester about how to do this. That was real important to me at the very beginning. Now I've done this for many, for a long time, and I'll go to some, but I don't have to go to all of them because I know what the rules are. I think that's real important. Also, I think another thing that's important is know the limits of your SI. And what I mean by limits is not the personal limits of your SI, but what you're able to ask of them. They're not TAs. This is not a university. They're not TAs. They can't grade your papers. They can't, do certain things. And I think it's real important that you know that so that you don't abuse your SI.
Okay, I would say there are three basic things. The first one is pick the right SI. And Charlotte is always there to also make sure that you've done a good job of picking the SI. That's the first thing. The second thing is to keep the SI actively involved in the class. The more actively involved the SI is, the better the sessions go with the student. And the third thing is to support the SI in what she is doing, and with that support, things will go very well for her, the sessions, and your class.